In Texas, jurors have listened to more heartbreaking testimony in this week of the trial for a former Uvalde, Texas school police officer. Adrian Gonzales is accused of not doing more to save lives in the 2022 massacre that killed 19 students and 2 teachers. Now, of course, the killer was killed at the scene. And Adrian Gonzales, this officer who was the first person on the scene, he's the first one to stand trial in connection to this massacre. There were nearly 400 officers who arrived to the scene that day, but only Gonzales and the former Uvalde School's police chief, Pete Arredondo, who have been charged. Now, this week, testimony revealed why, out of all of these officers at the scene, Gonzales is the one standing trial. So here's what our court of opinion chose as the best evidence jurors have seen this week. First, a teacher, Melody Flores, she took the stand yesterday, and she testified about coming face to face with the shooter. She said she warned Gonzales, who was first on scene, Flores, about the shooter, and she said that he was entering the 4th grade building, but that nothing was done. So we can hear it in her testimony. She opted for her face not to be shown.
How long had you been talking to the police officer when you heard the continued gunshots at the south end?
A couple of seconds.
Just a second or two?
Maybe 3 to 5.
And how many shots did you hear?
Couple.
Okay. And when you heard the shots, did that cause a reaction from you? Did you say anything to the officer?
Like I said, I kept telling him that he needed to be stopped. He was going into it before he goes into the 4th grade building.
When you told the officer to go in, did he go in?
No.
What did he do?
Yes, he just stayed there. Like I said, that's when I ran to see if everybody else was in and find a place.
He just stayed there?
I believe so.
And about how many times did you urge him to go in and do something?
Like I said, it was a couple of times.
The reason why this moment in time is so critical to this case is because it's before the shooter barricaded himself in rooms 111 and 112. So there may have been the opportunity to deny him and delay him. That's what the prosecution is arguing here. Let's bring back in our power panel. We have with us Michael Sterling, Holland Reed, and Mike Jafer. Mike Jafer, I'm going to go out to you and see what you think about this particular evidence. Is this the biggest evidence of the trial so far?
Absolutely. Look, I put school shooting cases in 2 buckets. Real criminal cases or Monday morning quarterback cases. When I heard that this guy was charged, I thought it was one of those Monday morning quarterback cases until I saw the evidence that you're talking about and the video of him leaning on the wall for over an hour while close to 20 kids were slaughtered. I think this evidence is very powerful because it builds a narrative for the jury, which is this person was not just a coward. Listen, when I drive by a crime scene, I'm a coward too. But I'm a civilian, right? I don't have the training, right? But it's not criminal to just not go into the school, but to do what he did and to that level and to not follow anything, none of his training, not penetrate the school, not do anything. I think they put me over the line. Today was the first day where I thought maybe they're going to get a conviction.
Holland, if you're a juror and you're hearing that teacher on the stand saying I was face to face with the shooter and then I was face to face with the defendant and told him to go and he didn't, how would that impact you?
If I can be honest, I'm gonna say I'm pissed. It makes no sense. Sorry, didn't mean to, you know. We had this conversation where I go back and forth between being a person that would run into the fire, because that is the person that I am, versus the person that, I don't want to blame him, and the sole blame shouldn't be on him. I don't think that. But I do believe that that was his one job.
And could have been his one moment.
Your one
Michael
moment.
Sterling. You talked about
Mm-hmm.
qualified immunity. What is that and why does it apply or not apply here?
See, and that's what really frustrates me in this situation, right? If training were automatic, then no officer would ever freeze. No officer would ever not do the right thing under the circumstances, right? So you can't treat training like it's some ironclad, automatic thing that comes, because that's just not the way human beings work, right? And what frustrates me about this particular case is that we see all across the country, we see police officers shoot and kill unarmed civilians and get qualified immunity, get defended by folks. And then you see this guy who made what I believe is a tactical mistake, and it is a tragedy. But I believe he made a tactical mistake. But hindsight should not be treated as criminal conduct. The confusion that he may have gone through in that moment, to me, shouldn't be treated as culpability, right? I think he made a tactical mistake, a tactical failure based on everything I've seen and heard, but I don't believe that rises to the level of criminal conduct, especially
Let's talk about the confusion. Let's talk about that confusion, because our second piece of evidence is this. The body camera footage from another officer. This is Sergeant T. Daniel Coronado. He's with the Uvalde Police Department. He was Gonzales's supervisor, and he arrived at the scene minutes after Gonzales did. And you hear in his body camera Gonzales's voice. Take a listen.
Over here. He's in the middle. Careful. I saw a teacher on the ground and I thought she had tackled somebody.
And who said I saw a teacher on the ground and I thought she tackled somebody?
Adrian Gonzales.
She didn't say, I thought she had a gun.
I'm sorry?
He didn't say, I thought she had a gun.
No.
Okay, he's reacting there. Michael Jafer, he's saying, and there's another part where he says that the shooter is there in the middle. So it seems like he does have some knowledge.
Yeah, I know he does. So look, I've vacillated between agreeing with both of my co-panelists. Right up until today, I was in the Michael Sterling camp on this, which I don't think there's criminal culpability. I think the evidence that you just showed shows that, to me, I think he crossed the line, because I wanted to understand, what would I do if I was in that situation? What would I do if I was under that anxiety, right? So what did I do? I went to AI. I said, compare his duty handgun in power with the AR-15 rifle that was used by the assailant. And so what AI told me was, if you want to compare those two handguns by way of animal, his handgun was a guard dog, and the AR-15 is a tiger in the wild. So to me, I thought to myself, for sure, this guy should be found not guilty, because he was not, his training, because what Michael's saying is, his training is not this automatic thing. I agree, right? Because he's still a human being. He's not a robot. But at the end of the day, man, that's all he had to do, and he did nothing. Just the video of him leading on the wall today and just leading there for a long time, just, to me, it just rubbed me to a point where he's not being charged with murder. He's being charged with low-level felonies. So perhaps it's going to stick.
A lot of comparison has been made between this case and the Parkland school shooting case, because they went after the school resource officer. He was acquitted, Scott Peterson. But in that situation, I was there for that, covering it, and there was a lot of confusion. He didn't even know what building to go in. Is there enough confusion here from that body camera footage, Holland, to make you change your mind?
No, I don't think there's any confusion. I think there's cowardice, which is what we've all witnessed. I think someone froze on the job. And I think that they had an opportunity to take this one person down with the tools that they were given in the job that they chose. And you screwed up. And I think that's what it comes down to. And unfortunately, it's not just him. And I'm sorry, and I got to go back to the conversation we had the other night. We still don't know why the door was unlocked. Why? Who else is involved? Who else is a part of this?
Oh yeah, no, we don't know anything sinister about that at all.
About that
accident,
yes,
we don't even know who left it open. It was a common thing. I want to show something that I know Michael Sterling, we got double Michaels today on air. I want to show something I know he's going to be interested in, though. These photos being shown today of Gonzales at his active shooter training. So this was training that he took back in 2018, and there were multiple photos of him holding a gun. It was brought out on cross that in training he used a rifle and not a handgun. What do you think about that as we look at these pictures, Michael Sterling?
I mean, I think that's important, right? I think it's important to note that if you're training with one thing but you're equipped with something different, that probably impacts how you handle it in a real life situation, right? And that's part of my argument, is that I believe what my co-panelists believe, that he froze, that it was a tactical error. I believe all of those things, but the question becomes for me, does it rise to the level where you should be charged with a crime and be facing the loss of your freedom?
But not just him.
Because it was a tragic, it was unquestionably tragic.
Not just him, not just him.
I just want to add something. Again, I was in the Michael Sterling argument up until today, but here's the thing. He meets the elements, Julia. He meets the elements of the crime he's charged, because he's not charged with murder. He's not charged with any kind of premeditation or reckless murder. He's not even charged with manslaughter. He's charged with a crime. I read the elements. I think he meets the elements right on the nose. I don't see how he gets out of a conviction.
We will see what happens. We have to leave it there. Thank you all for your opinions and your passion about such a heartbreaking case that has impacted so many in that area, but also our country. We remember this massacre, and to see charges was really something a lot of people called for. It's playing out in that Texas courtroom. We will keep following it here on Court TV.